Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've done any kind of tech reviews, but I have something here today that I think you guys are really going to like. So in front of you, you'll see I have the DJI Mini 2. This is the second version of the Mini series for DJI. So we're going to do an unboxing, take a look at the new drone and what comes in this box. And then after, we're going to do a comparison with the differences that we had from the first version versus the second. I'll tell you guys what I do like about the drone, what I don't like about the drone. And if you guys stay until the very end, then you'll be able to see this drone's first flight and see what kind of quality you get. So stay tuned, and we're going to do the unboxing right after this.
Click on Zombie Apocalypse.
Okay guys, so let's get right into the unboxing. So the first thing you may have noticed, the name. The first version used to be DJI MAVIC Mini, and now you can see that they've rebranded it and changed the name to DJI Mini 2. They've lost the MAVIC on here. Right on the front of the box, you have a picture of the drone, and you have right at the bottom here, ultralight 249 grams. So the weight stays the same as the initial drone. As we kind of go around the box, on the top, very simplistic, has no information. On the side over here, it just has the DJI logo. On the back, it just has some very fine print. I guess it just must be security information or danger warnings. And then on this side over here, we're going to talk about these anyways, but it just gives you a little brief overview of the new things from the drone. So you have ultralight and foldable, less than 249 grams. 31-minute maximum flight time, 10-kilometer OcuSync 2.0 with HD transmission, level 5 wind resistance, 3-axis gimbal, records at 4K, has panoramic quick shots and one-tap videos. And then right here at the bottom, it just gives you the contents of the box. So the aircraft, the remote control, flight battery, 3 cables, RC, USB-C, screwdriver, spare control sticks, spare propellers, and manuals. So let's open this up and see what's inside the box. Okay, so now the exciting part. Let's see what we got in here. So the first thing we're going to see right at the top is you're going to get the little drone. Now this Mini almost looks very similar to the older model. There are some slight differences, and I'm going to get into those in a bit as soon as I open up everything in here. And just so you guys are aware, there are 2 versions that you can purchase of this drone. I'm going to post them here on the video so you guys can see. There is a combo pack that comes with things like the extra batteries, a bag, the propeller guards, some other extra stuff. It does obviously cost more. This one here is the basic version. It just comes with the drone and the controller, and obviously the basic necessities, which we're going to see right now. So this little book here has the pamphlets and the manuals, probably like a quick start guide, sure. So here's the quick start guide. Okay. This is probably, I don't know what this is. We are here for you. So I guess this must be some sort of support. If you scan the barcode, it probably takes you to an address. This is in a different language. This one doesn't really have any information. You have these 2 little pamphlets. Fly the right way, consider be responsible, flying your drone fun and easy. And then you have, I guess, the full manual with all the information, and it is in multiple languages as well. Okay, so that's all for the pamphlets. All right, so here is the USB to USB-C cable. Okay, and then in here, you're going to have those RC cables. So these are the ones that go from the controller to your phone. So it looks like I have USB to mini USB, it looks like, on one side. And then on the opposite side, I have USB-C to USB-C. So I have a Samsung S10. I'm going to be using the USB-C to USB-C. In here we have the tiny little screwdriver, and this is needed in case you want to change your propellers because they have a very, very tiny screw. So they provide you with this little screwdriver in case you want to replace those. In here you also get the spare propellers. It's nice that they kind of package them this way. This is kind of interesting. So they packaged 2 of them in A and 2 of them in B. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed them in the past, but the older Mini, on the propellers, when you used to look at them, they used to be white instead of orange. But one used to have 2 stripes, one thick and one thin, and the other one used to have just 1 stripe like these. It looks like these propellers, they only have 1 thick stripe on both ends, but they are for different sides of the drone. So you gotta be very careful when you put these propellers in, because if you don't put them in correctly or the right ones in the right spot, you're gonna have some problems making it fly. So it does come with some extra screws in the back here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So there is some extra screws inside the bags with the propellers. So that's nice. I'm gonna keep this somewhere safe. And in here we have the spare little joysticks. I believe the controller already comes with 2, but they gave you 2 spares in case you end up losing them. All right, let's keep going. Wow. Okay, so this is a big difference from the previous generation. This controller is obviously a lot bigger. All right, let's take a look here. Wow. Okay, so obviously new design for the controller. The neat thing about this one that I do like is the fact that the phone goes on the top over here instead of at the bottom like the older one. So that's really nice. There is already a cable in here. Oh, this is the 3rd one. So they gave you these 2, but if you have an iPhone, the iPhone one is already inside the controller here. Let me just take this out so you guys can see it. I don't have an iPhone, I have an Android device, so I'm going to be swapping this cable, but this is for anybody who would need to connect it to an iPhone. So that is the 3 cables. And obviously on the bottom over here you have your port to charge, and you have the 2 joysticks here on either side that just kind of pop out, and then you just kind of screw them in here, which is nice in case you want to pack it up and take it somewhere with you. Very nice. All right, so let's take a look at the 2 main components here and see if we see any differences. So let's talk about the drone here for a moment. We'll leave this here on the side. So I'm just gonna start unpeeling these stickers so we can get a little bit of a better look and see what's different on these. Well, the sticker doesn't really want to come out. Okay, there we go. And we got another one of these here at the bottom. Good. And then we have this main one here that's going to release the housing that protects the camera. And the other stickers, oh, except for this one here at the back. Okay. Oh, this one doesn't want to come out either. Wow, this one kind of just got stuck in here. Well, let's see if we can put this screwdriver to use. There we go. All right. So from what I can see right away, it looks like this back end here has the same flaws as the original one. Okay, good. So all the stickers are off, and let's just take a quick look. I'm going to open it up. So it opens up in the exact same way as the original. Okay, so right off the bat, let me take off the housing as well. So to take off the housing, you see this little notch here, you kind of just pinch this and then you pull up, and that just releases the housing. Okay. So right off the bat, some of the differences that I notice in terms of the size and in terms of the weight, it looks the same, feels the same. Right, you know, the first thing I see that's different is it has this little light up here. I think that's an LED light. I don't really know what the purpose is other than in case you kind of wanted to know the orientation, because it does have another light here on the exterior. And the original version also had this light. I don't know if you guys can see that there. So I guess they just added two so you know which one is front and which one is back. The camera looks to be about the same size except for the addition of that little 4K. I don't know if you see it there in the corner. There's like a little logo now. Mini 2 branding obviously on the legs of the drone here. The propellers, I know I mentioned this before, but these ones here have orange markings and they all look the same. Obviously they're not, they have different propellers for each section, but the older ones did have a different design. They were white and ones had 2 stripes and one had 1. The back of the drone, not much has changed, still looks the same. I'm going to pull out the battery here so you guys can see that too. So this is the battery. Okay. I'll talk about the accessories in a little bit, but keep in mind some of these accessories from the original do not work on the newer one. And we'll talk about the battery in a second. So not much there in the housing, the same. You have the USB-C, which is a nice addition. Before it used to be the micro USB, I believe it was. And you also still have your SD card slot, your mini SD. This little housing, I wish this was a little bit stronger or better. Sometimes it just kind of feels so flimsy. I just feel like I'm gonna snap or break this. I wish they did a better design on this part here at least. You'll see it does have that LED on the back. This is the same as the original. The bottom looks the same. It has the battery indicators, and I don't think there's any battery since this is brand new. But normally when you, well, I took it out, that's probably why. So this would normally light up and give you an indication of how many batteries you have. And there you have your downward sensors. So really, I think the only difference is the 4K branding, this little LED light here on the front, the fact that now you have a USB-C, and the propellers look a little bit different just because of the design and the colors on the blades. But that seems to be visually all I can see for the drone. So I'm gonna put the battery back in here. Let's just see if there's any battery left in this drone. You gotta be careful which way you put it in. I almost put it in backwards. Okay, so the housing closes. And let's see if there's any battery. No, it's gonna have to be charged. Okay, so we'll leave this here for now. And let's take a look now at the controller, because this seems to be the biggest change. So I know I briefly discussed upon the differences in the first one, but I'll just go over them again. So nice rubber grips on the back. You have your controls here for the gimbal, up and down. You have a button here for the take a picture and record. These little rubber grips are for your cell phone once you put it here in the holder, which is nice now that it's at the top instead of at the bottom, and this fits quite a large device. The connection cables come out from the back over here. I don't know if you guys can see that properly. But once you one side is just like a holder. So this cable kind of wraps around, and this is going to connect into your cellular phone, either from this side or from this side, doesn't matter. But once you want to store or put this away, once you want to store this or put this cable away, you're just going to wrap it around, and you're just going to put this, I don't know if you can see, there's like a little empty slot. It doesn't have any kind of connection port to it. I don't know if you guys can see that. So you're just going to kind of feed it in here, and it'll just kind of hold its place. And then the wire, you can just kind of push it down so that it's out of the way when you close this little piece here. So it looks nice, compact, and easy, portable to kind of take with you guys. Here you have your joysticks. Here you have your function button. Again, I don't know what this button is for. It looks like a picture of a camera, the one on your cell phone that kind of reverses the camera from the front to the back. I'm not 100% what that is for or what you use that for, since it only has one camera. But you have a home button with a pause. You have the Cine Mode, Normal, Sport, and then you have your power button. And at the bottom, you have your 2 joysticks. Let's put those in there now. Kind of just take them out, screw them into place. Okay. They have a nice little rubber surrounding to them, so it feels kind of nice on your fingers here. And then at the bottom, you have your USB-C if you want to charge the controller. So, I mean, it feels nice. It feels good to hold. The rubber grips really help. I think having the cell phone on the top is going to be a nice addition from the previous model. I always find that looking down below the controller was kind of annoying, but I mean, we're going to try it and see if it's any better with this one here. So that's pretty much it. So that's the controller and the drone. Now, in terms of the accessories that I was talking about, keep in mind there are some things that do still work from the 1 to the 2. The first one being the dome. The dome is compatible with both versions, but the hub, the battery, those two are specific to each drone. So if you're gonna upgrade or change to the new one, you're gonna have to buy new batteries and a new hub. But I think most of the other stuff, like that little monitor attachment that you can add to the top, or anything that kind of goes on the same body, should be fine. And I think that's really it, unless you had any other adapters for the remote control, like the extension to put a tablet or something else. So now let's go into the pros and the cons. Okay, so the pros and the cons for the drone. So the first thing I wanted to say is in terms of specs and features for the drone, there have been some improvements. The first one obviously being the 4K camera. I think that's the biggest. A lot of people were asking for the 4K. So that's obviously a bonus. The second thing that's obviously very helpful is the fact that it has OcuSync 2.0, and that's due to having this type of a controller. The OcuSync 2.0 is going to give you a 10-kilometer range, and obviously it's going to give you a stronger and better connection between here and your drone. It's going to give you an HD transmission as well back to your cellular phone. And this is important because the older drone used to be on enhanced Wi-Fi. I used to have a lot of dropouts when I used to fly my drone, a lot of errors, and a lot of times where I was flying and the video transmission would just kind of cut out, and then eventually it would come back on its own. So I'm happy to see that it has the OcuSync 2.0. The third thing that I think is a bonus, obviously, is again back on the drone. So the propellers and the motors. The motors are stronger. They do stand up to level 5 winds. I think it told on the box. Give me 1 second here. I think the box did mention the speed of the winds. It just says level 5 wind resistance. But level 5 wind resistance anyways is the same level as what you get pretty much on the new MAVIC Air 2. So it's going to do a way better job against the wind. That was a big flaw with the first one. I used to get, even on sunny days in the middle of summer, I would get so many wind warnings. It was like any kind of breeze would hit that drone and you would get warnings saying, you know, strong wind, return back home. I would get interference issues. Again, that may be due to the OcuSync. So I'm happy that, you know, now it's going to be way better against the wind. And you're probably going to have a better experience flying it, hopefully. The battery itself is 31 minutes. I think it's a minute extra from what it used to be. So you guys also have to keep in mind, I know it's not that much of a difference from the original, but keep in mind that you're getting an extra minute, and the battery is also strong enough that it's going to give you a lot better performance on the motors. So you're getting the same flight time, but the motors are doing a lot more work to stay steady and to maintain those high level of winds, or to fly against those high level of winds anyways. So I know it doesn't sound like much, but having a battery that's going to give you way better performance on the motors, and still give you a minute extra from what you were getting before, I think that's a huge improvement, to be honest. Okay guys, so for the cons, again, keep in mind these are all just my opinions. I mean, you may have different experiences, you may have different choices that you would have picked for cons, but I'm just going to kind of go through what I think are some of the cons of the new drone. So the first one, obviously I wish they would have done a better job with this little latch in the back. I still feel like it's kind of flimsy and it's not very sturdy. I wish they would have done something with that. I guess the biggest flaw that I would say with the drone itself, the drone is nice, it's compact, it's small, it's light, it's portable, it folds. So there really isn't much that I would change now that it has obviously the better motors and propellers, shoots 4K. realistically, the only thing that I would have liked to have seen added would have been some sensors. Just because if you add sensors to the drone, you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable flying it, especially in areas where there may be obstacles. I mean, even if it just had the front too, I would have been happy with that. Obviously, they didn't incorporate any. Maybe that's what's going to come out maybe in a future drone. But that would have been a nice addition, having some sensors on the front, maybe on the back, or even on the sides. At least in the front, I think would have been good. If they added some sensors on the front, maybe you would have had active track, which this drone also doesn't have. But again, it's not really a con to not have the active track, but the sensors I think would have been important, especially if you're picking one of these up for the first time and you're a new time flyer. I think it would just make you feel safer flying the drone. So the con for the remote control for me, again, it feels nice in the hand. It feels strong. The only thing I would say is the size. I know that this is the same form factor and probably the same controller that they're using for the MAVIC Air 2, but I would assume that they would have maybe made this controller slightly smaller just to kind of match the drone. I mean, if you put these things side by side, you can see that the controller is bigger than the drone itself. So when it comes to portability, when it comes to, taking it with you, normally you'd have a bag or a case. Obviously you're gonna have to buy a new one because the older controller was significantly smaller. But obviously this one being heavier and bigger, you're obviously gonna have to have a bigger case and you're gonna need more space to store it. Other than that, that's the only real negative I see to this controller. Everything else on it looks good. Obviously there's more pros on this than there are on cons. Okay guys, so now I'm just going to charge up the battery. I'm going to update the firmware. I'm sure there's one waiting for me. And then I'm going to give it a little test flight and show you guys the footage from the drone. So stay tuned and we're going to come back to it in a couple of seconds. Alright guys, so I'm outside. It's kind of cold out here. It's -4, I think it feels like -11. I just started up the drone. We have 22 to I think 35 kilometer winds. I'm just going to give it a little test flight and see what this looks like. So just powered her on. Let's see if she'll take off.
The home point has been updated. Please
Wow.
check it on the map.
Look at that. So stable, even in these high winds. It's holding steady. That's awesome. All right, well, let's take her up and let's get a view of the city. Let's see how it holds up against the winds. So far, I've gotten no warnings, and it seems to be stable. So let's do it. Okay guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed that little clip there. Just my final thoughts before I let you guys go. I think this is a huge improvement over the previous version. Would I recommend you guys upgrading to the new model? Yes. The reason for it, obviously, you're going to get the 4K resolution recording. You're going to get a lot better performance against wind, and you're going to have a lot farther and stronger transmission due to the OcuSync 2.0. So if you guys have the chance, I would definitely get my hands on one of these new ones. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, learned something new. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted of any upcoming videos. And we'll see you guys on the next one.